Hi everyone, got a little time to do a video. Sorry, I just got done breastfeeding, and as usual, my videos are informal. Hi, honey. Hey, honey. And so I got a little time to do a video because everyone went out for a little bit. I love how I turned the camera on and I realized what I look like, and so I'm like, oh well. So anyway, I got a little boy in my lap here. And today, sorry, hang on. All right, I'm back. So, let's see how long we last here. I want to talk about today releasing yourself from fear, guilt, and shame. I'm speaking really specifically to women and mothers and all over the world. It's a really existential issue with women in general, but also, especially in the Western world, where our culture has become extremely isolationist and pretty hostile towards mom and kids, and very unsupportive and everything, and very business oriented, materialistic, and so the other part of it is, so the first part is releasing yourself from fear, guilt, and shame, and then embracing love, trust, and forgiveness. Yeah, so to pack my journey into one video, it would be utterly impossible, but I probably can talk about some pretty main points about this. And let's just say I struggled tremendously, was tortured, really. Um, all my life from lack of self-worth. But it wasn't just that, it was inner complexes and inner negative complexes and outer negative complexes that really compacted and impacted and exacerbated the problems inside. And then, to make matters a lot worse, I was assaulted by an adult man when I was 9. And anyway, it's not that my life hasn't been extraordinary and beautiful in so many ways, but I remember pretty much until the age of 25, I just was fighting to survive. Survive the inner and outer negative complexes, even downright evil complexes, that were just trying to do everything in their power to create an identity of guilt, shame, and fear. And hey boy, I call him the boy. He's gonna be like, Mom, I have a name. Like, well, you're the boy. You're my boy. He has 3 older sisters. So, hey Papa, hey Papa. Alright, so we're kind of just trying some different positions here. Yeah, so I've created a really, really destructive identity around fear, shame, and guilt, and truly block the avenues inside to forgiveness of the self, which ultimately blocked true forgiveness of others. I tend to be a pretty forgiving person, but it couldn't be really a full form of forgiveness because I just couldn't forgive myself for either things that were my fault or weren't even my fault. Some of the really big things that happened weren't even my fault. Why is it, baby? All right, we're nursing now. We're back on. See how this goes. So, And guilt, shame, and fear are really the sort of core of so many disorders and issues that women face all over the world. And if I remember correctly, before I was able to start really healing a lot of these very serious issues that developed into mental illness from decades of my life, and I was able to overcome mostly in the last almost 6 years. I remember it was difficult to embrace forgiveness because a big part of me rebelled. Like, some of the biggest things that I needed to forgive myself for weren't really directly my fault, but they did happen, and they created terrible bleeding emotional wounds that were infected and creating an infection all over my psyche, spirit, and the soul was suffocating, buried. It was being buried, even though it was shining. It was shining through, nonetheless. And so I struggled at first. What is there to forgive? I don't have to, forgive myself. But as I started to do more like emotional work, clearing work, and spiritual work that directly addressed my problems, I realized that there is a self inside that blames the self for everything. Women face this in a huge way. You just blame yourself for everything. You just carry the burden of the world, everybody else's burdens, and of your attackers, of your abusers, of your teachers, parents, later on maybe your husband, children, yourself, and it really is fundamentally something that needs to be dissolved in order to reach into deeper realms of yourself to heal. So embracing the mantra of I deserve. The other thing was, for some reason, I just was somehow taught consciously or subconsciously that I didn't deserve anything. Didn't deserve anything good, whether it was nice material things or if it was love, and real love, and so to say I deserve love, forgiveness, and trust, and I deserve to be released from fear, guilt, and shame. That statement is like radical. It's radical, I realized, for women. And you just become afraid of becoming egotistical, when the real lesson is actually realizing that it's more egotistical to beat yourself up and to let other people beat you up. And let me tell you why. Because the ego has a shame and guilt and fear identity. That's what it is. It's sort of become this monster in the psyche, that we identify with, and it's identity is that of loss and of less and of constant guilt, fear, and shame, and will create barricades around it, whatever it is. And maybe that barricade is a victim identity. That barricade maybe is an ego macho identity. And maybe that identity is a loose identity, like constantly having to give yourself away in the search of self-respect, trying to feel some kind of feeling, self-respect, sensation, love, and thing about mantras is that you have to do it all the time, even if you don't feel like it. All right, we're back. Hopefully he doesn't move. Maybe I'll put my camera up here so that if he moves, I'm not exposing myself. Just nothing wrong with a little modesty here. I'm not ashamed of my body. That's a whole other story, which I will make a video about. But I realize that it's okay if you're naturally modest in many ways, and in other ways I'm not. So anyway, back to what we're talking about. Think about mantras and think about healing is that you have to do it all the time, and it has to click with you that this is something that you're committed to. You're committed to not towing the line anymore. And let me tell you, I embrace the mantra, I embrace trust, love, and forgiveness. And I deserve trust, love, and forgiveness. And I am released from, and I deserve to be released from fear, shame, and guilt. Is some of the most radical changes that a woman can make within her own spirit, self, and psyche. And I assure you that if you start doing it, and make sure you use the breath, to try to connect. The breath is that bridge between the spirit self and the physical self, which is reflected. Sorry about that. Very much in many parts of the body, but in especially in the nervous system. Nervous system, it relies on electromagnetic field and action, and the voltage that across the cells, in relation to the nerve endings, and their reciprocation between each other, all throughout the body. And those signals are that relationship between the spiritual and physical is manifested there in a very direct way. And the nerves, the nervous system surrounding the cardiovascular and lungs, are really the main centers of the spiritual and physical relationship. So using the breath to solidify things, to clear things and solidify things, is a very powerful practice. And I assure you that if you take it seriously and you make this a priority, that you'll start to see incredible changes in your life. Now remember that change and healing is not always pleasant. But trusting in the process and being open to seeing the signals of things improving and signs and symbols of healing is very important in the process. It's foundational in the process. So a lot of times I'll breathe in through my nose, and believe it or not, learning to breathe for humans and then specifically women can be a whole journey in itself. And so when you breathe, if you're a singer or someone who's practiced meditation for a long time, you know that you breathe through your nose and you fill up. You focus on it going down your spine and filling up your abdomen, and then breathing out through your mouth, and you kind of begin to see its circulation. The more you practice the circulation through your body. So I do that once or twice, and then I say the mantra. I release myself from shame, guilt, and fear, or I deserve to release myself from shame, guilt, and fear, and I deserve love, trust, and forgiveness. I deserve to embrace love, trust, and forgiveness. Just practicing that, and then after you do that, I was kind of doing it naturally just now, but breathe through your nose again. Out through your mouth. Okay? And so that's what I wanted to share today. It's a profound healing practice that you will begin to see many changes with, and to trust it. And to offer that change, because as you're doing that, you're clearing negative energies. You're literally clearing negative energies from your body, which are quite literally through the spiritual soul activity, and then which is being carried through electromagnetic action, which is being carried to the cells throughout the body. That make up the many systems of the body are being cleared, are being cleansed and cleared. You are through your own center and being. You are signaling. You're signaling to the whole body that, and the whole psyche, and then to the whole body. This is what you are doing, and you will start to see, actually, even though the healing process will not necessarily be always happy or feel good, ultimately you'll begin to see a healing process take place, and you'll and your life open up to more healing thoughts on the inside, a more healing, calmer state of being, and then a desire to take care of your body, who is a wise teacher, and that's another whole other video which I am planning to do. So thanks so much for watching today, and God bless, and love, trust, and forgiveness to you and your families, and release yourself from fear, guilt, and shame, and embrace love, trust, and forgiveness. All right. Thanks for watching.